You guys, it is Saturday, so you know what time it is. We are about to dive into Anubis, Ancient Egypt's Lord of Death and Protection by Charlie Lawson. And if I've said it once, you guys know I'll say it again. I love, love, love this book. Now, if you are new here, Saturdays, we take the time to read from this book to break apart any stigmas and conceptions about Anpu that have kind of been run amok by the media, right? And by the entertainment industry. So let's dive in to our reading this week. Now we're looking at history versus modernism. All right. Fully understanding who Anubis is from a historical perspective is challenging, if not impossible. The thing about looking back at what we consider to be ancient Egypt is that it spans thousands of years. The pyramids were already thousands of years old by the time Cleopatra lived. Think about how much would have changed in that amount of time, let alone between then and today. Empires grew and fell, pharaohs lived and died, populations moved, beautiful temples were built in dedication to gods and goddesses, only to be abandoned later and buried in the sands of times. Tombs were raided and emptied. The worship of all deities changed drastically over the course of time. Because of this, from our perspective today, we are often confronted with contradictions and conclusions that don't appear to make sense at first glance. As societies changed and evolved over a millennia that separates us from ancient Egypt, the worship of gods was essentially left to the interpretation of those who followed them, often priests and pharaohs. This means that the same deities may have been worshipped in different ways in various places at various times. This makes it nearly impossible to trace information on a god to one single source or even one time period. The gods changed even within what we now call ancient Egypt, and they have certainly changed since then. The beauty of that, however, is that we, as modern practitioners and worshipers, can play a part in discovering who they were and defining how they fit into our modern world. Our own interpretations of the gods and goddesses of the world continue to shape how they are seen today. Today, we have an opportunity to see the gods through a lens of sophisticated technology and complex sociological, economic, and political phenomena. And it makes sense to do this. We do not live in a world of 3,000 years ago. So it doesn't make sense to base our understanding of them entirely on that. Humanity has changed, and so has the gods. The Hellenistic goddess Athena, for example, is known as a goddess of battle and wisdom, but not everyone can relate to that. Taking a broader view, you can also see that she is not just a goddess of literal battle and war, but can be helpful when fighting a battle of injustice. There are no longer many blacksmiths out there, but the Celtic goddess Brigid can still be petitioned for many creative endeavors. This is why gods of death like Anubis, Hecate, the Morrigan, Hel, Hades, and Osiris will always be relevant. Chthonic and death gods are always around because death is constant. These dark deities are not evil at all, but rather powerful forces associated with death, the underworld, otherworld realms, and the harder aspects of life. Thus, they are more relevant than ever. We live in a challenging world that seems to be getting more challenging and more complex each year. In these times of change and chaos, a god or a goddess standing at your side and lending you and leading you through the darkness can be a powerful ally. Anubis is not just a god who was worshipped in a far off land more than 4,000 years ago. He is not someone reachable only by learning hieroglyphs and memorizing ancient spells, although you can certainly do that. It is not it is not the only way to approach him. Anubis's influence spreads across Egypt to Europe, and the Greeks and Romans continued to worship him even after the decline of Egyptian culture. Today, he enjoys a cult like following of practitioners who petition him for magic spells, divination, and communing with the dead. This is why you find him today in metaphysical stores, in libraries, and on the internet. His influence has never died. He still lives resting in the shadows of the dark corners of our world, bringing them to the light so they can be transformed. Gratitude prayer to Anubis. Hail Anubis, Lord of Death, sovereign of the underworld, protector and guardian, guide and healer, shaman and wise elder, he who walks between worlds. I offer my thanks for your wisdom and guidance, for your presence and protection, for teaching me the mysteries. May I walk between worlds as you do, seeing the magic and mystery in the world, and honoring the deceased and those who have come before. Dua Anpu. All right, that is our reading for this week. And next week, we are going to step into mythological origins. All right. If you guys, of course, want to talk about Anubis in the comments, then feel free to do so. And I will be more than happy to respond. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.